Hello, it's Cappy from Always in Stitches in Noblesville, Indiana, and we are continuing our bag series. Cappy's a Bags, the class, and we just met Saturday, and so now we're filming the video for those of you who couldn't get to the class, and it was fun. Peter, stuck your head in for a minute and got to say hello.
I saw a lot of beautiful bags that everybody made and brought for show and tell. They were awesome.
They did. So the previous bag that we made was the tourist tote, which is blowing up. Everybody's making it. Everybody loves it. If you've not watched that video, go watch it because you'll be like blown away. It's just the best bag, and shout out to the pattern writer on that one. Everybody's loving it, and they're making several incarnations of it. They're doing what I've asked for all along in this, and Peter's smiling because he knows what I'm going to say. I've asked all along for you guys to use these patterns as a launching pad to create your own designs and to make the bag your own. And I was so excited at the class on Saturday that everybody that brought their bag in, they had put pockets in it and zippers in it and more pockets. And, you know, one, she cut it a little wrong, so she just went the whole bag that size. And then she decided she liked that size better. I mean, it just was so cool to hear people not be bound by the pattern, but to be inspired by the pattern. And I think that was a really cool class to see. So, but moving on, we did the tourist tote. Now we're doing this one. This is called the Vintage Clasp Wallet, and it's Zakka Workshop. I'm going to say it's Z-A-K-K-A. I think you say it Zakka.
I think so too.
We're going to say it that way in Indiana. This is the neatest little wallet. There's a couple of them here. I happen to have made this one. I bet you could have guessed that pretty quickly.
What's the other side look like?
The other side's exactly the same. How fun is that? So it's kind of a trick to make that happen. And then this is the one that Peter made, and love how he centered the little bird on the side. It's just perfect fussy cutting. And then inside, yes, I open.
Yep.
I'll show the insides. So he's using this to keep his paper piecing stuff. Look at this little hexagon. Oh my gosh, is that cute? Those are 3/8 inch, right?
Yep, 3/8 inch.
I dare to try. And he's got a little pair of scissors in here. You know, we sell all kinds of little scissors that'll fit, and these are great because you can still take them on an airplane. And there's his needles. You could probably even like take a bobbin, with your thread on it. Just stick a little bobbin in there so it's not a whole spool of thread, which is a bobbin of thread is more than enough when you're English paper piecing your few little pieces. This would be perfect just to take on the plane, you know, for while you're flying. So this is a little hinged part. This little hinge in here kind of gives people some cause for panic. There's a little gusset at the bottom.
I panicked. I'm not gonna lie.
It's the world's tiniest gusset right there. So we're gonna kind of walk you through this. The pattern is lovely. She has really good pictures, really good directions. I don't know I'm saying she. I don't know who Zakka Workshop is. There's so many patterns of books. I've actually found, I'm going to show you a little to tease you just a little bit. Here's another one from them. It's a heart clasp purse. We're not making this one, but I feel certain the instructions are very similar. We've added this one to our repertoire of patterns, and I'm gonna start working on these and see if I can make some of these and have them come out.
What else you got in the goodie bag?
I've got some other goodies in here. Here's another book. This one is another Japanese making little simply stitched with embroidery, artful motifs for purses and more. She also does these cute little clasp bags. This book, you could also punch needle, and then you have to buy your little clasps separate, which, you know, we've got those available for you if you want to buy the clasps. And then this book, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy here. This one is another Atsuko Matsuyama. This is terrible. My son lives in Tokyo and he could say these for me. But this is another Happy Flower Quilts. It also has bags and gifts and quilts. And this is a book that, I'm not kidding you, everybody in the store has just about bought a copy, and we had to order more in because of the lovely little gifts. I mean, there's a little pencil case and patchwork scissor caddy.
I did not see the Dresden plate pin cushion.
Isn't that something? These are all. There's another little bag in here. This one is like worth the whole book right here.
There it is.
This sewing kit.
That sewing kit is amazing.
I'm thinking that's going to be getting made at my house. And the little pouch.
I think Dawn bought the book just to make the sewing kit.
Yeah, so see, look, the pouch, it has a little snap that little pouch snaps into that sewing kit, or you can take it out. How ingenious.
Oh, I didn't catch the snap that was there.
Isn't that cool? And your little pin, it looks like that's on a little piece of Velcro, so you can take your pin cushion out and move it around. I mean, this is just the most adorable little sewing kit. And then there's also little purses in here, too. There's a tea cozy.
Go to the heart tea cozy.
I knew he'd have to show you that. Look at this heart tea cozy.
And that heart, what's that thing called? A trivet?
Trivet. I'd call it a trivet.
There's the trivet.
It's got little French knots. There's a lot of handwork in this. The Japanese quilting and that whole movement tends to have a lot of handwork in it. So anyway, this was just another one that caught my eye, you know, when we were looking at bags and things. And then here's another one. This is the purse clasp book. And this is also the Zakka workshop. 14 coin purses and bags with metal frames. And here's the deal. With this book, it's a $20 book, but it includes 2 of the little clasps to do the hardware. The hardware alone would cost you that. So there's some really, really fun little purses in this. So I think if this idea, this little clasp purse appeals to you, you might be wanting to look at this one as an eyeglass case. How stinking cute is that? It's shaped like your eyeglasses. But anyway, we're looking into this. So if you're interested in buying any of this stuff, let us know. We'd sure like to get you hooked up. But today we're going to start with this one. I think this is your basic. Once you learn how to make this one, probably all of the rest of them are going to follow this pretty simple format.
I agree.
Yep. So this is just your basic vintage clasp. Right now it's just this smaller, but you could certainly make this longer so that you could slide a pair of eyeglasses down inside of it. It does have a couple pockets inside. So there's little pockets that when I open Peter's, you could see little to slide things in here. Maybe even, you could probably get a lipstick or lip gloss in there. I just think it's just the perfect little size. It sticks in your pocket. It's really fun to center things on the side of it because of the dimensions. Like he centered this bird. I, of course, centered my flamingos. But you could certainly find some motif to put on the side of this that would make it adorable. I see my grandmother would have done this in needlepoint. You know what needlepoint is?
That'd be so pretty.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That would have been great, needlepoint.
Would have been
Or
great.
crewel work.
Yeah, or crewel.
Is crewel wool?
I think it's the technique. I don't think it's the fiber.
Okay.
I think. I made one out of, now these look like monstrous hexagons compared to his. These are 1-inch hexagons as opposed to his 3/8. These look like the Jolly Green Giant. But I made one out of hexagons, and I'm going to actually use it to show you how to put this clasp in. Because that gets a little hairy-carry. But see, I'm just, think of the ideas, how you can sew this. The pattern comes with a really good, that you copy.
I love that I was able to copy that on template sheeting material.
Yep.
That was so cool.
I haven't done it on anything yet. I just made a copy, but that drives the point. Make a copy of your pattern. Don't cut out your pattern piece. Use this as something to copy onto a template or a piece of cardboard or cardstock so that you always have this piece and you have all the little information around the outside of it, and then use this to cut your pieces out. And so that's what I've done. When you notice how this is cut, it's cut on the fold. So that's how you get both pieces. And you cut the lining, you cut the fabric, and you cut the interfacing, all 3 pieces from this. Now, my fabric is directional. So rather than making a fold here, I had to put a seam in there. And I would suggest to maybe try to not use directional fabric, but I had to use directional fabric because, you know, it was too cute. But I had to allow for the seam to be right on that edge, which is very doable. But I had to think about the direction of the pattern. Same went for the pocket on the inside. My pocket was actually kind of directional.
Got to use those math classes.
Yep, you have to think it through. But this piece is only directional because I had embroidery done on the side. Those are my initials. And so I had my embroidery person just, you know, embroider on a piece of fabric. And then I took it to my pattern and I laid it down where I wanted it to center, and I cut it. So you could do that as well. Whatever motif you're wanting to center on the side of that. I think that's what really personalizes it, you know, makes it fun. And then the interfacing, I just use kind of a mid-weight interfacing. It's not really heavy. They do recommend you interface the pocket, which this again is on the fold, so you have one piece on the fold. I'm suspect you could get away without interfacing the pocket. I think that it makes this bottom in here fairly bulky if you interface that pocket, and I think if you didn't, it might make it a little easier. So I haven't made one yet without interfacing on the pocket, but I suspect you could get away without it. So it's basically you just follow the directions exactly as she tells you. You sew the pocket together, and then the pocket, you sew the one side that was on the seam, and then you pull that through, make a tube, and this makes your pocket. Now, again, I have directional fabric, so in order to get my pocket going the right way, I had to put a seam in there, but normally you wouldn't have done that. And so then I have this will become the pocket inside. So I'm going to top stitch.
And seam was on the bottom?
Seam goes on the bottom.
Okay.
On
that
the
was
bottom.
One thing I wondered when I was putting my pocket in is where to put that seam.
Yeah, I put the seam on the bottom because then you don't
sense.
see it.
Yeah, you got
then
nice clean edges.
You have nice clean edges, exactly. But again, my birds are upside down, right side up, but I could have used one piece of fabric, I realized after the fact. I was trying to make them go the right direction, but that's too many seams involved. So anyway, that's going to be like this is the original piece that you had when it was folded and sewn into a tube. You turn that right side out and then fold that in half, and then that's going to give me this little pocket that goes right down inside there. Okay, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to top stitch this real quick, and then Peter, tell me what you've been working on that's fun. You kind of got on the bag kick, but you're going to stitch too.
I did this. I made the tote bag, the tourist tote.
Yep.
I want to make the sewing box.
Oh yeah, we've got
But I can't find the fabric to make the sewing box clasp purse. I think I found that perfect cat fabric that I was telling you about, but then I never really went home to figure out where I could orientate it.
Yeah, there's
the orientation. Now on your top stitch, how far from the edge are you?
Okay, so I'm going to top stitch this about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Get my stylus here and I'll show you. So here's the edge of the fabric. My needle's going to drop it's just right at 1/8 of an inch.
Oh, you moved your needle over.
I moved my needle over to the 1/4 inch position. If I had put my fabric here, right here, I would have a 1/4 inch. But because I took about half that length, now I'm at 1/8 of an inch. I've set my stitch length at 4.0, and I am using a 50 weight fabric. Typically on purses and little things like this, I use a 40 weight thread. 40 weight fabric, 40 weight thread, but I've just got a 50 weight. It'll be fine, just for what I'm doing.
Looks nice.
And I'm gonna speed her up a little bit, and I'm just gonna top stitch. Top stitching is what really finishes off your projects and makes it look complete.
Oh, that stitch length looks really good.
Yeah, I'm liking that 4.0 stitch length. That's kind of my new go-to. And so I'm gonna do it again on this side. So just to get both sides of the fabric, just to stabilize it, that's the only reason you're top stitching, and just to finish it. That's what the difference between an unfinished and a finished project. And then that will fold in half, and now that will be my interior pocket. Okay? So then the exterior pieces that we have done, so there's my outside. This is my lining. And again, I did the lining in 2 pieces because I wanted to go in the right direction. So I fold the purse in half with right sides together, but I've got to stitch, wait, disregard that. I'm going to put the lining in first. Put the pocket in the lining. So I find the center of the pocket, the center of the lining, and I'm just going to sew that down. And I can't see that, so we'll go right here. Now I've not sewn these sides, because those will go into the
I think I went blind too. I kept peeking. I like lifted it like
peek, just
vertical.
Like I'm doing. Yeah,
I lifted it up this side and I was following that seam on my seam tape.
Yep. Seam tape, good old seam tape. Let's go back to the center then on my needle's position.
I was like, I'm just gonna wing it.
I'm just gonna wing it. Yeah, I mean, this is not a brain surgery kind of project. And it goes really fast when you're not talking through and walking down every step. So there we go. We're just going to sew that right down the center, and then that puts my pockets on either side. All right, so now I'm pockets. Now, she does tell you to top stitch. That's good. And then you also stitch down these sides. So I'm just going to do...
I struggled on that because it said top stitch within the seam allowance, and I couldn't figure out what that
Yeah,
meant.
top stitch along sides. It's not going to show. I think it would be more accurate to call it kind of a stabilizing stitch.
Yeah.
But I do it because this is square. The pocket is square, and this is not. I'm going to sew it from this side, so I make sure I follow the curve of this.
Oh, see, that's the other thing I struggled with, is
Yeah, you
what
can't
side to
see.
sew it from.
Can't see what you're
I
doing.
think I ended up sewing it from the other side.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to, and I'm just going to get, I'm going to do a pretty long stitch here because I'm just stabilizing this here is all I'm trying to do. That's just catching that just enough to hold it in place. And that's just so it doesn't pull out. I'm just right, I mean, I'm literally on the edge of the fabric there. This one didn't come over quite so far, so I'll be good. We'll just do this real quick. That's all we're doing. We're just making sure, because when you look at the inside of the wallet, you want that caught. Otherwise, that wouldn't be sewn in. It would be loose.
Oh,
So that's why you're
yeah.
doing that.
And I
Okay.
think I went in too far, too, on my stitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's just barely inside the edge there. And I can even, like, trim that up a little bit. Oh, here we go. Back to bad scissors.
We got any bad scissors?
We got some bad scissors in here. Oh, yeah. We got some teensy, teensy, weensy, itsy, bitsy little scissors.
Okay, hey, I found your
My stylus.
stiletto. Look, it's hanging on the
Yeah.
wall.
I know.
You do?
I do. I put it
Oh.
there because I found it.
Oh, you found it
I
before.
found it.
Okay,
I
you
found
already
it.
found it. Oh, look at those scissors. Those
I
are so
know.
sharp.
See, this would fit inside this bag. But
They
see, I'm
really
going to
would.
trim that. I'm going to trim that square
It's
part.
like a sewing kit.
It is like a sewing kit scissors.
No,
But
I
I'm-
mean your bag will be like a sewing
will
kit.
be a sewing
you
kit.
Put your scissors in there, and
I am.
I don't have those scissors. I'm gonna have to get those.
These
today.
are the best.
I
And they're
love
so
those.
stinking sharp.
I love that it has a little cover on it too.
Yeah. This is like the bomb.
Oh, that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, these are a fun little pair of scissors. Okay, so I just trimmed that up. It really didn't take much because it kind of fits it. Not perfectly, but it's close enough. But I'm just, any bulk I can get out from around the edges of this, I'm going to try and get out. Because you don't want bulk.
Those are sharp
They are
little
sharp little guys, aren't they? They could hurt you. Okay, so now my pocket matches the shape of my lining, which I think is probably going to be helpful. So fold the purse outside in half with right sides together. So that's what I'm doing, is exactly as she says. Sew along each side, stopping at the end of the seam mark. Okay, so on my pattern, right here, there is, I'm not going to pin to mark this. I'm going to use a Frixion pin because it's inside and it won't show. So when you look at the pattern piece, there is end of seam, position to align hinge. That's where I want to stop sewing. Okay? Same thing goes on the other side. End of seam. And I'm going to mark that line right there. Okay? Because I don't want to sew past that place. I want to sew up here. And I want to make a 1/4 inch seam. Okay? So we're going to go here. And I'm going to sew from the bottom edge up to this line, and then I'm going to stop. And I'm not going to go, did I get there? I can't even see. Yeah. I'm not going to lock that stitch because I am going to turn around and sew it again. I'm going to start here this time. We'll start at the top and go to the bottom. Okay, that's all I'm sewing on that part. And this is the part that I think is a little confusing, but you just sew from there to there, there to there. That's the only part I'm sewing. And we do the same thing for the lining. So we'll just do it again. I'm going to transfer my marks from my pattern. Now, the lining's a little thicker because it has those pockets in it. Then I'm transferring that from my seam line right here and here. Do-do-do. I got right in the salvage there, man. I didn't waste an inch of that fabric, did I? It's all right. And there. All right, so here we go again. We do the same thing on the lining. Now, this is thicker because it has that pocket in there. But that's all right. We can make it work. Let's just going to want to push it a little bit. Okay, so that's just a 1/4 inch seam. It's a teensy weensy little seam there. And I stopped both places. Okay, so that's going to come open. Now then, I have to make the world's tiniest gusset. So you push this
Hold
up.
on, wait.
Got it? Okay, so there's where I sewed.
This is the whole part I've been waiting for.
You push that up. Right there.
Oh, I did this completely wrong.
And there's my gusset. Makes sense?
Yep.
And I'm gonna, basically, you're just sewing right across there. I mean, it is the world's tiniest gusset right there.
Oh, I did that wrong.
Okay.
I still got a gusset, but...
You still got a gusset, but there we go. I'm just gonna sew across there. Which it's hard.
Now, are you sewing above that seam on the
I'm gonna
corner?
sew right there.
Or are you sewing on that little corner?
I'm
right
sewing
above it?
right there.
Right
I'm gonna
above
sew
it.
right across
Okay.
there. Because that,
You're
I
not
mean,
catching it, right? Okay.
no, I'm not gonna catch it.
Okay.
I'm gonna just be right above it.
Right above it.
But this is so tiny. This is why they do everything by hand. Now I am going to go back over that just to be sure it's solid. Gussets are always a weak point on a product. See there? World's tiniest gusset right there. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So there's my seam flat. I'm just going to open that up. Push that all the way down. See, it's the world's tiniest gusset. You could probably make one littler, I guess. I don't know. But not by much.
Well, 1/4 inch gusset, I mean, that's pretty small.
That's pretty small. It's probably actually 1/2 inch by the time you get all the way across there. There we go. It's just cute. Now, somebody asked me in the class Saturday, what if I wanted to make that deeper? I think that'd be fine. I would extend the length of my bag, the length of this little outside piece, however much deeper I wanted to make that gusset. So if I wanted to make this a 1 or 2 inch, I would make this piece of fabric that much longer. You don't want to take the gusset up of this part because it's going to get caught in the hinge. You want to extend it at this point down here to extend your gusset. So at the dimensions it's given, this is pretty much what you have to have for a gusset. You can't go any bigger. Okay. So now I have my little gusset on the bottom, and she's teensy weensy. You turn around so you can see her. This one actually came out a little bigger, but that's okay. I'm still good with that. That one's a little bigger than what the other ones turned out, but it's fine. That'll be perfect. Okay, so then we're going to do the same thing with the lining. Fold each corner line points A, C, miter each corner, and press them to the bottom. So we're going to do the same thing now here with this one. We're going to do another miter. Another gusset, we should say. And we're going to do another one. It's just the width of this. It's tiny, 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 tiny. But there's a lot of bulk in that. I'm going to pop that open. That's why you need that seam open. It's very heavy. I'm really, like I say, very suspect that we could leave out the interfacing. I think it'd be fine without it. Okay, so that's your lining and your interior. Your interior and your exterior are now ready to go together. So with right sides together, insert the lining into the purse. So this is the exterior. This is the lining. And I'm going to turn the lining right side out. So we do this. Okay? Isn't this cute? What's going to be fun about this one is when you open it up, you have the surprise of the flamingos popping out at you. Okay. Slide that in there. slide that in there.
It's the world's smallest flamingo pool.
The world's smallest flamboyance of
You know when you
flamingos.
go to the zoo, the Indianapolis Zoo, they got that little flamingo pond.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
It's like a flamingo pond in your little pocketbook.
It is a flamingo pond in my pocketbook. So now what I want to have happen is this side lines up with that. So see, that seam goes up to here, that seam goes up to here, and so they kind of meet with each other. And I'm going to sew through, I'm going to come through here in a hot minute and sew down. So, push this all the way down in there. So this is kind of a dainty one to start with. And I'm going to start, because I have to leave an opening to turn this right side out. So I'm going to leave that across the top here. And what I'm going to do is start sewing here, go around, come to this point, pivot, come back up and go around, come to here, pivot, come up to here, and then leave this part open. All right? Just so you can see what we're doing. Oh, I can't wait to see this one done. So I'm going to leave the top open there so I have a little space. And this is the part that was tricky, is down in here. And I have to get as far down into this seam as I possibly can. That's where I stopped that seam. So I'm going all the way down in there. Now I am like into where that seam was. I'm all the way down into that, to where I stopped sewing. So when you're looking at your pattern, it's where this is. I'm like right at that point. I'm right in there. And now I have to kind of bunch this like this and flatten that out. So see how now I'm on either, now I'm on the seam this way. And I make sure everybody's still connected to each other. And I'm going to sew across there till I get to the other side where now I'm going to sew up again.
Pivot.
Pivot. And see, this all lines up now.
That makes sense.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and now I go back around. Now sometimes when you have to pivot a little curve, you have to stop and turn.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was stopping, turning, stopping, turning, stopping, turning.
Shorten your stitch.
I did not shorten my stitch. I was still using a longer stitch.
Yeah, no, you need to shorten your stitch there.
I was lazy.
Yeah, I get you. But if you shorten your stitch, you should be okay. Now I'm going to make sure I stay on the right side of that. Okay, so now I'm coming down to another one of those. I'm going to make sure these ends are connecting with each other. I'm going to sew all the way down to this seam right here, and then that's where I pivot, is right in that seam. So I come down. It's kind of hard to get up in there. You have to. This is why you got to have one of these styluses. I'm telling you, if you don't have a stylus, get you one.
It's a third arm.
It is a third arm, third finger, third something. There. Okay, now I'm in the middle of that seam. I'm right in the middle of this seam where those two are joining. And now I'm going to sew just the littlest bit more. There's a bunch of weight under there because of those gussets. Okay. And now we're going to sew up this side. Now this is the side I have to stop sewing, so I leave it open just the littlest bit. And so I've left my top open now that I can pull everybody out the inside. So she looks a little sad like this, but I'm going to pull it through. The birth part. Turn it right side out. I'm loving this. It's going to have my initials on it. I never, because my name is a weird name, I rarely, if ever, have anything that's monogrammed. So whenever I get something monogrammed, I always feel kind of special. Now, I've used that aqua thread, which I might have been better off using black, but it's okay.
It'll be hidden by the clasp.
It'll be hidden by the clasp. We won't see that. And I'm going to use this to kind of help turn everything out. This looks kind of like a blob right now. But if I take that and push along those seams and get everybody opened up.
Oh, you're using the wooden iron to iron it flat.
Yeah, iron it from the other inside.
From the inside. You know, that's the only iron you can do that with.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I have a little shovel head one, but
Oh, that's right. The little dangerous one.
The little dangerous one, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's
Man,
together.
that black looks nice.
It does look
looks
nice.
like
I'm kinda
velvet.
liking that. I'm
looks
kinda
like
liking
velvet.
that. Yeah, I was thinking these would be fun made out of like little fuzzy.
There we go.
But I am going to push that out. And now, I'm going to push those down in, those little gussets that we made, the world's tiniest gussets. Push that down in there.
With the wooden iron again.
With the wooden iron again. There. Okay, see, we have the exact same thing again. So there I have my little purse.
That is money.
Isn't that fun?
Love it. I love the black and the...
I do too. I'm kind
is
of...
it aqua?
Aqua.
Or teal?
It is aqua, teal,
Aqua?
whatever.
It's beautiful.
Kind of jonesing on that. And then this little piece here that's open.
Oh,
Now-
I like the matched... Okay. I just realized I like your matched pocket to your lining. That's neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's sort of, they're all going different directions, but I'm over it. Don't care. And then I need to sew this closed. Now this again is going to push up inside that piece of hardware. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be closed.
Can I tell you a little secret?
What's that?
I didn't hand stitch mine.
Oh,
I just used the machine.
Yeah, me too. I'm the lazy.
Can I tell
Right
you another
here.
secret? On my tourist tote, I didn't hand sew
No.
the lining center on that one
No.
either. I
No,
just
no,
zipped
no.
it through the machine. Watching you do it enough times has got me brave.
Well,
you know,
you
one of
just
these days
do
I'm
it.
going to do machine binding.
Well, I'm just going to tell you right now. I appreciate the slow stitching movement, and I think there's a place and a time for that. But at the end of the day, I don't have time for this stuff, man. I got to get it done. Okay.
Me too.
So I closed that seam, and now it's ready to have the hardware put on. And this is the part that kind of people are like, boo, because it's.
Now, do we have to top stitch the
Nope.
tops?
Nope.
No top stitching of the tops.
Well, you know what I did there. I'm going to sew down here. That's a good
I can't
point.
remember. I know I
think
did.
she
but
maybe
I don't
does
remember
tell
why
you.
I did.
She might tell you to top stitch. I am going to stitch
But then
that
I
there.
was like, but then you told me, well, you
It
don't
doesn't-
see it because it's glued. I'm like, oh, okay.
But it compresses that a little bit, so that's not a bad idea. Let's top stitch. Since we did the other side, we'll do both sides. And I'm doing real close to the edge. Gosh, I might even be a 1/16 of an inch on that one.
And you're only doing the tippy tops. You're not going down the sides or
No,
anything.
I'm not going down the sides because the sides, at some point down here, the hinge doesn't go all the way down in and it's going to show. See, I should have used black there. I might put like a little dot of fray check or something.
Well, you
right
could
in
color
that
it with a
little column.
Sharpie.
Or Sharpie, yeah, the good old
Just
Sharpie
color
trick.
it.
Good old
Color your
Sharpie trick.
threads.
All right, so now we've made our little pocket.
I actually like the teal though showing.
I
If
know,
there was
it's kind
an
of fun that it
opportunity
peeks
for it
through,
to
isn't
show,
it?
yeah.
It is kind of fun that
But
it
it's not
peeks.
going to show.
No. All right, let's go put this hinge on. That's the part that everybody flips out about.
All right, it's time to open up some glue.
So here's my supply, and I've got two here to put in a hinge. So
Open the windows.
open the windows. Yeah.
Open the door.
Yeah. This is pretty potent stuff.
Ventilation, folks.
Vapor harmful. Read carefully on back panel. So this is E6000. There are other adhesives out there. This is my go-to.
This is non-flammable.
Well,
At least you can do this while you're smoking.
yeah, exactly. Oh, as if.
You can't do it with contact cement.
No. Her directions are really, really good. Lots of good pictures. I strongly suggest you follow them closely. I'm going to show you what to do. If you buy a tube of this stuff, buy the smallest tube you can because they make it in ginormous tubes, and it dries up. So it's not a good
You know,
thing.
I was wondering why our tubes were so small.
Yeah. You don't really want a great big
Because you
tube
end
of it.
up, I guess you end up wasting it.
You do. When you get it, it's sealed because once you break this seal, then it dries out and there's a little thing in the lid. So you do that. I'll tell you how long it took before I found that out to open it up. And then typically when you put this in, you just want to run a line down this. Now I am usually slick enough that I can just, and this is a brand new tube, so it's really drippy. I can just drop that in there and just kind of every so often put a little bubble. The good thing about it is when it sticks to the outside where you don't want it, it will rub off.
Yeah, it does.
But you have a limited period of time to do that.
I do have a glue spot on my pants where I got it on my hands and wiped my hands on my pants.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I was like, man.
and you want to stay away from the hinge.
Oh, and I got some close to the hinge and got on the hinge.
Yeah, that's not good. So see, I kind of just put that bubble on the top. There we go. And then I take my good old stylus, or you could use a toothpick, and I spread it around. But I have used my stylus for this many times, and I just wipe my stylus off. So see, there's a pretty good gobbledygook mess of that in there. Now this stuff dries really quickly, I will tell you. Okay. And then I'm going to push this.
And we did that just on the one side so far.
One side. Do
Okay.
one side at a time.
One
Don't
at
do
a
two.
time.
Don't do two. Oh, Josh, no, you can't keep up.
Okay.
And then this really just slides right up in there. And the good thing is that glue kind of catches it.
Yeah, that's one thing I did appreciate was how thick that glue was.
And then I'm going to push this all the way up in there.
Oh, that stylus is nice for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just had a screwdriver and it wasn't quite catching the fabric the way I needed.
I'm telling you, I have an
didn't have the
unnatural
control.
relationship with this stylus. And I'm going to go up in here. See, I'm just pushing it all. And see, there's a little bit of glue right there. I'm just going to wipe it off. See, right now, it just wipes because it's not stuck.
Yeah.
Let's stick this up in there. And I'll get them. Stick that in there. Just stick the fabric in there and kind of push it in. Okay? That's what we want to do. And I make sure she's even. Again, there's a little bit of glue. I can peel that off. It'll peel off. There you go. And I'll get that centered up a little better when I put the other side on. But see, then that hinge with the dimensions they've given me is going to sit right where that seam is.
Oh, look at that.
Yep. Somebody knew what they were doing.
She's got one on her desk that's been ordered since.
All right, so that pushes up in there. Now, the next thing is she gives you this hemp. And what this is for is to help hold the bag in, hold it inside that clamp. And she recommends that you squeeze this once you put the hemp in there, you squeeze it down a little bit. You take pressure. Now I have here are my jewelry. These are made for jewelry. And they're all different size heads of pliers. These are kind of real pointy. This one's a little bit wider, but it doesn't have any teeth on it. See, that's smooth. There's no teeth. This is just regular pliers. But I still will take a little piece of batting and use this to squeeze that closed, okay? So I'm going to wrap that around there and squeeze it closed. But first, I'm going to stick this piece of hemp up in there. Now, she tells you to cut it into like 4 or 5 pieces and just do one little piece at a time. I just do it in one long piece. I don't know. And then I cut it. I don't know that one's better than the other, but I am going to squeeze this in there, and it's just a matter of pushing it up inside there. There we go. And what that does is it just makes it thicker in case your fabric isn't thick enough. Now, if your fabric and your interfacing is thick enough, you may not want to put this in there necessarily. But I think it does help fill that in a little bit. And the idea is it kind of holds it. I'm trying to do this so you can see, and at the same time I'm doing it kind of backwards from my hand. But see, that just goes in there and it fills that space in. Just one more thing to hold it.
I like your idea of using one continuous piece so you can get in that curve right
Yeah,
there.
I want to really bunch
Because when
that.
I cut my pieces, it was hard for me to know like how long or how short to make them,
Yeah.
and then they didn't quite go in the corners.
Right, and I want those corners really full. Now I'm going to do one side, and I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to do the other side. Because you really don't want to disturb this once you get this up in there. But see, that just really just kind of pokes in there. And all we're doing is making what's in there thick enough to hold what's been placed in there. The glue does a good job, but you know, you just need to have a thickness. I suppose you could use thicker interfacing, but I don't know. Get up in there. This one's not wanting to go around that edge. There.
I ended up using Decor Bond, but
Did ya?
that's too thick, I
Yeah.
think. I mean, I actually had to open up the sides of my clasp.
Did you? Okay. Okay. All right. Now see,
But I
this
could have
is
went.
shifted
I
a
could have
little.
went with a little lightweight.
So I'm going to push that. And that's why I left a little tail down here. See, I left a little tail because as I pulled that around, it kind of
Yeah, mine
came back
shifted
up.
too.
It
I
shifts.
kept working it until it was.
Just work it till you get it all the way
It
in
stays
there.
put.
You can untwist this hemp a little bit to make it a little bigger. There we go. That up in there. Make sure it doesn't shift
I
to
didn't
the other
notice much
side.
difference when I untwisted it. I'll be honest with you.
You didn't?
Yeah, when I untwisted it,
Probably
I thought
correct.
it was gonna.
Now see how
really-
that's balling up right now where that glue is? That's perfect. That's what I want to do. I'm going to get that off of there. I'm not going to let that stay. I'm going to peel that off so we don't see it. And now I've got all my little twine up in there. I've got that pushed all the way in there where I want it. And I've just worked it. Now I'm going to cut this off. I'm actually going to use these pliers to cut that because I want it pretty tight. Maybe it'll cut it. It's hemp. Need to go get those little strong scissors. If it was my manicure lady, she'd probably get it cut. Here, we'll get a pedicure. They didn't. Oh, look, we'll cut it. Look at that.
Jeez.
Those are the super scissors.
Super
Okay.
scissors.
Then I'm going to push that kind of up in there. I want to make sure that you don't see that little piece sticking out down there. It's not terrible if it did, but I'd rather it not show. So I'm going to push that up inside. And that glue catches it. This is the fussy part. Instead of fussy cutting, we're fussy pushing. But push that up in that glue. Okay. Come on. That corner wants to pop out. There she goes. All right. Now, you leave it set just like this because you want that hinge just to be open. So I kind of usually just set it like that. You can see again, I need to push this in just a little more. I'm just going to let that set. Once it's dried a little bit, I'm going to go back and I'll clean my little bit of glue up here. This will just rub off.
I'll fall out on the floor.
But you have to do it like right away. If I wait till 2 or 3 hours from now, it won't come off. And see, even this on my stylus, I can just, that'll come right off. See that? It's just like rubber cement. But in another hour, it would never come off. All right. So there's one side done. We're going to let it sit and we'll do the other side. And then basically, this is what you get. When you're done, that's what you're going to have. Now, I do take, like I said, because like this feels a little, this is a little loose down here, this right here by the hinge. So I'm going to put my batting on that and I'm going to take these pliers and I'm just going to squeeze that closed. Just to make sure that is just a little tighter. So see, that's a little tighter now. And it's trapped that piece in there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other hinge. And she tells you that. She actually has 4 spots where she wants you to do that. I've never had to do that. I didn't have to do but just this one hinge spot. And you can feel where that's at. I can feel it kind of give under me when under the pressure of the... There. I tighten that up a little bit. I'm going to have to get that good and tight. There we go. There. Ha ha. Isn't that going to be fun to carry? Get this.
You need an I at the end of CS.
I know, CSI, that'd be me. Super investigator. Jeff watches that show. He loves that show. It's too gory. It's too bloody, gory. Ugh. Like too many parts and ugh. I'm just not into it. Okay, see, now I can even clean that up a little bit with the stylus. Looky there. There's one little fleck right there. I'm going to get rid of it. All right. I didn't get that quite centered, but we're good. I'm good with it. You could almost put an eye there. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. Once that dries, then I'll do the other side just like I did that side, and I'm done. I'd give this 24 hours probably to really set before I started sticking things in it and carrying it around and doing things with it. But gosh, it's such a fun little bag. I mean, it's a teeny tiny.
It was a treat to make. I thoroughly enjoyed making it.
Did you?
I was so tickled pink that I was able to make it, and it turned out. It was fun.
I think, Christmas gift, put a little gift card in it, give it to somebody. It's a coin purse. You could leave the pockets out if you want to leave the pockets out, just so you could just have something to stick in it. Again, make it longer. It would hold a pair of eyeglasses if you wanted to put eyeglasses in there. Scissors, I don't know. It's just fun. Contact case, eyeglass case, jewelry case. And then if there's not enough choices by doing it that way, we've got these books. So, purse clasp book, this Happy Flower Quilts that had some fun stuff in it too. The Simply Stitched embroidery book. This would lend to punch needle beautifully. It really would. And then we've got some other little patterns too. So if you're watching this video and you're like, gosh, I'm fascinated by that idea, I think I'd like to take it to the next level, this is the book I would say to start with right here. I think this will do it. But at the very least, start out with this pattern. Because this pattern is super, super compact. It's complete. You get the hinge. You get everything you need. Try this. And if you really love it, then go to the next level. So that's the bag. We did this one. And this is a bag, technically.
It is a bag.
It's a very teensy little bitty bag, but it's a bag. So that completes this month. We'll be back next month with another fun thing for you to make. And comment on the video if you liked it. Be sure to follow us. And that way you'll get notifications when we put up the next video. And I hope to see you soon again at the sewing machine. So happy stitching today.